So Jacob is wrestling with who? To find out, stay tuned to Reach Out and Live. Welcome to Reach Out and Live, a program of music, scripture, and sermon brought to you each week by the many members and friends of First-Plymouth Church, Lincoln, Nebraska. Hi, my name's Jim, minister here at First-Plymouth. Today I will be preaching on Genesis 32, when Jacob wrestles with God. We'll have jazzy undertones to our hymns, and the congregation is ready for worship. So let's join them.
The same night, Jacob got up, and he took his 2 wives, his 2 maids, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream, and likewise everything that he had. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he struck him in the hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Then he said,
"Let me go, for the day is breaking."
But Jacob said,
"I will not let you go unless you bless me."
So he said to him,
"What is your name?"
and he said,
"Jacob."
Then the man said,
"You shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. For you have striven and wrestled with God and humans, and have prevailed."
Then Jacob answered him,
"Please tell me your name."
but he said,
"Why is it that you ask me my name?"
and there he blessed him. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying,
For I have seen God face to face, yet my life is preserved.
So if you noticed, I just played God in that reading. But you really don't want the preacher playing God. In fact, far too often, I think preachers think they speak for God, but a preacher should speak of God. That little difference of a preposition makes all the difference. I will try to speak of God today. So remember that way back, Jacob fell in love with Rachel. And so by the time we get to the Jabbok, these 11 children are by 4 different women. This is complicado, right? And he sends them all across the river, and he stays behind, and I think I know what's happening. I think he's come to a point in his life where he's made a lot of choices, and it's all so complicated now, and maybe things aren't working out how he wanted things to work out. I think this is sort of an existential crisis, and he's all night long he's wrestling with his conscience. I think there's some of this going on. And, you know, life can get complicated, and you've made choices, and you're at some place in your life, and sometimes there comes a reckoning when things aren't quite what we hoped or desired or what we thought it would be, or it's complicated. Maybe you're at a moment like that. So I was telling you about the handmaidens and all these kids, and it still amazes me that people sometimes use the Bible around sexual ethics, right? I mean, and the ancient world has all these crazy sexual mores, right? But people will still turn to the Bible like to kind of wag their finger about how you're supposed to be, around sexuality. That's not what the Bible's for. The Bible is our guide in faith, in spiritual things, but people still pull out these old texts and kind of wag their finger. And the Bible is the perfect book for what will bring you to faith in Jesus Christ. That's how it's perfect. But going to some of these old texts and acting holier than thou, I don't get it. So, my favorite word of the week is cryptobiosis. You might have seen that word in the news, cryptobiosis. So, every living organism uses enzymes to kind of catalyze chemical compounds to create useful energy. That's kind of the chemistry of the cell. So every living organism does that to create metabolism. But some lower forms of animals, get this, some animals can literally stop their metabolism. If the situation's unfavorable and they're in an environment that's not good, they can just shut down their metabolism completely and wait until the environment's more suitable. Cryptobiosis is when an animal shuts down their metabolism. Did you see that scientists just found some worms in this Serbian permafrost that were 46,000 years old? They had shut down their metabolism, they pulled them out of the permafrost, and those worms woke up. Cryptobiosis, this is wild. 46,000 years. Essentially, they slept for 46,000 years. I can't even get 8 hours. 46,000 years and they wake up. Cryptobiosis. That's cool. Well, I think this story in Genesis 32 is cryptobiotic. I do. It's this super old story. It's like 4,000 years. It's this old story. I think it's gone cryptobiotic, but then today it can wake up and become alive for us, this old story. Because remember with me how ancient, so about 4,000 years ago, this is a story that they were telling themselves of how the nation Israel came to being. Jacob is the representative figure for the nation Israel. His name becomes Israel. So he's like the icon. He's like Uncle Sam for our nation. He's this representative figure. He wrestles with God and then is named Israel. The word Israel means to wrestle with God or to strive with God or to struggle with God. And the ancient nation Israel, that was their self-identification, their self-understanding. We are the ones that we wrangle with God. We strive, we struggle with God. So this is a really old story in another part of the world. I think it went cryptobiotic, and now it's coming alive today. This story is alive for us because I think many people today are struggling with God. How to understand God, whether to believe in God or not, and how to even know or decide. I think a lot of people are wrestling with God right now in our culture. This story is alive. So have you noticed once a month we hold a Sunday gathering down in a restaurant in the Haymarket? And it's really great. We pack the restaurant and we sit at tables and long group tables and booths and everything, and we share food and fellowship. And it's one of those restaurants where the servers pop up once in a while and sing songs. And so it's a blast. So they'll pop up, they'll sing, and then every once in a while, Juan Carlos and I will hop up on stage. We won't sing. You can sing, but I wouldn't sing. And we'll give a message. And it's a great gathering. Well, last month, we held a Stump the Pastor night where you could come and ask any questions about God or religion, and we'd have to try to answer it. And so we put note cards on every table throughout the restaurant and pencils, and people were writing down their questions. And I was walking around the restaurant picking up the notepads to get ready, and we were just going to go through them. And a young woman, maybe like 22, she handed me a note card, and I look at it, and I saw her question. It was this: why should we believe at all? And that question seems so poignant to me. Why should we believe at all? And I didn't have time to talk to her. We were just gathering the cards, and that question was so plaintive. Why should we believe at all? And I gathered all the cards, but somehow during that night we're going through the cards, I never saw that card again. Might have been a preacher's Freudian slip, because that was a tough question, and maybe I just lost it on purpose or something, but I forgot about it, and we didn't answer that question. But I've got some time with you right now, and I want to wrestle with that question right now. You can go ahead and cross the Jabbok if you want, but I'm going to stay back here right now and wrestle with that question. Why should we believe at all? I didn't have time to talk to her. Normally, if someone asks a question, you have to ask them a number of questions to really know why they're asking it. Right? So I don't know exactly why she was asking that question, but maybe she thought about religion as just a whole bunch of beliefs. But this is what religion is. It's like a big old bag of all these beliefs, metaphysical beliefs, doctrines, dogmas, and the idea is if you believe all those beliefs, then you're a Christian. I mean, maybe she was thinking that that's what religion is. And if I would have had time to talk to her, I would have just shared that I don't think of religion as a whole set of beliefs, as much as I think of it as a way of life. It's not just about, well, if you believe all this kind of stuff or these amazing things, and then that's good. No, I think religion is a way of life, a way of being, a way of loving and being in community. I don't know if she was thinking this, but she might think that religion, it's all these beliefs, and if you believe them, you're saved. Like that's how it works. But that would mean that what, my beliefs change the mind of God? Like somehow if I hold the right beliefs, if I just hold the right beliefs, then God changes his mind and I'm accepted. But I don't think beliefs are so much about changing God's mind. I think our beliefs change us. Oh, if you have the right beliefs, you can become more compassionate, more joyful and peaceful and loving. If you have the right beliefs, they change you, me. Not so much about trying to change God's mind. I didn't have time to talk with her. But if I would have had time, I would have told her something that I think is very important. So I'll tell you. Scholars have analyzed the word belief in English, and they have discovered it has changed through the ages. What it means, words change, language evolves. According to these scholars, the word belief in English meant something different before the Enlightenment and the scientific revolution. Then it meant something different after that. Before the Enlightenment, if you said the word believe in English, you weren't talking about some ideas you hold in your head. You weren't talking about some propositions about reality that you believe to be true. When you said believe, you meant, what do you commit your heart to? When you used the word belief, you meant, will I commit myself to that way of life? I believe in that. But after the scientific revolution, it meant some idea in your head that you're deciding whether it's veridical or not, whether it's true and matches reality, and that's a belief. I wish I would have had time to tell her, but I have some time with you. That when I say the word believe, I mean what you will commit yourself to. And it's our commitments in life that will shape us. It will shape your whole life. What are you committed to? If you have a person you will not forsake, or a cause you will not abandon, if you have commitments in your life, it gives your life depth and meaning. When I say believe, I mean, will you give your heart to it? I heard a preacher say something one time. I didn't really understand it. It was something like that phrase I just spoke. He said, if you have a ship, you will not desert. If you have a cause, you will not abandon. If you have a person, you will not forsake. Then you are like God. And I thought, what? What do you mean like God? What? And I thought about it. What did he mean? And then it occurred to me. If you read the Bible, it's all about how God won't give up on us. That God is committed to us. The word is covenant in the Bible. But God will not let go of us. We fail again and again, but God is committed to us. So in the Scripture story, it's really not most central whether you believe in God. The point is God believes in you. God is committed to you. But that's what he meant. That if we live life with commitment, that's the divine way of living. So, here is the straight-on genius of our religion. It gives you something that you can commit yourself to. It gives you something perfect to commit yourself to. A person, Jesus Christ. You see, we are made to fall in love with and commit ourselves to a person. That's how we're made, and the religion gives us Jesus Christ. The perfect commitment, this person so full of love, completely manifesting love and justice and peace and hope and joy, and you can give your heart to him. I heard someone once say the longest distance you will travel in your life is from your head to your heart. And this is what the religion is asking. You see, our religion isn't what you believe about Jesus. It's believing in Jesus. It's giving your heart to him. It's committing to him. Our religion is not some theological beliefs about Jesus. Do you believe that Jesus actually walked on water? Do you believe that Jesus is the Son of God? Or all these doctrines. It's not about believing things about Jesus. It's about believing in him, giving your heart to him, committing to that way of life. This is our religion. And when we commit ourselves to Jesus Christ, you're set on a path, a way of living and being that is the more noble. Like 50 years ago, the Pope had a sermon he was giving all around the world, and it just galvanized young adults. For a moment in the late 70s, the Pope would give a sermon, and young adults from like 18 to 29 just began to gravitate. They're having these massive youth movement in the Catholic Church, and his sermon, it was the same every time, and it was simple. He would have a whole thousands of young adults in front of him, and he would say, "You've been sold a bill of goods. You've been sold a bill of goods that you could have a life without sacrifice and without courage and without commitments and without discipline, that you could have some good life that is the path of least resistance, and you can have this." And he would just say to them, that's not true. To live up to the moral grandeur that God wants for you, to live into the fullness, it will take courage and commitments. And then he would just say to them, so commit your heart to Jesus Christ. I think that sermon's cryptobiotic. It's from like 50 years ago, and now it seems alive again somehow. So, as I close, let me just express to you what a commitment to Jesus looks like in community. So, you noticed we were doing that big medical debt initiative. And this was amazing. The homes right around the church, people were saddled with medical debt. So we just started throwing money in together. Everybody just kind of threw money in the plate, and we just started paying off people's loans, and we made it 400 homes around the church. We just paid off their medical debt, and it was awesome. And you might think that was for some sort of warm fuzzy or kind of feel-good thing. Or you might think it was because we had some abstract theory of justice or what is the right thing to do. But we were doing that because we were committed to Jesus Christ. That's why. Our hearts have been given to Him. And so that's why you do something like that. That's what it looks like in community. If you watch what we do, like how you'll hear again and again that we'll talk about LGBTQIA plus inclusion and about how every person is a beautiful creation of God and this full inclusive spirit. And you might think that it's because we're really hip or progressive. You might think it's because we're reading the New York Times every week, so we're going to do something like that. It's really fashion forward. It's not. It's because we are committed to Jesus Christ. That's the way of Jesus, that inclusion, that vision of beloved community. Oh, you might watch us and you might think, well, wait, they hold some services that are really traditional, and we hold Bible studies all week long, and we teach all the creeds and catechisms, and it looks really traditional or almost conservative. Or then you see all these kind of liberal things going, and then you're caught in these tired and turgid categories of liberal and conservative. You think those categories like are determinative, and liberal and conservative is what it's all about, but it's not. We do those things because we're committed to Jesus Christ. He said, do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in me. Believe also in God. He didn't say, believe certain things about me. Make sure you have the right theology, and that's going to change the world. No. He means, have you given your heart to Him? Our commitments will shape us. That commitment to Jesus is shaping this community. And if you let it shape your life will be more deep and joyful. Give Him your heart.
to you and have a brighter by and by.
I am so glad that we could worship together, and I hope that it has brought you some peace. Do you know you can join our worship services live every Sunday morning at 9, 10:30, and 11:59 on Facebook, YouTube, or our website. And all of that is made possible by gifts from friends like you.
If you believe that an open-minded, loving congregation can help change the world, then consider making a donation. It will help us increase the love of God and neighbor, both in Nebraska and the world. If you would like to learn more about our church, go to firstplymouth.org. You can watch videos of the sermons, learn about our many programs and missions, then follow us to Facebook and become a friend. We now worship online at 9 a.m. and 10:30 on YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, and our website. We also add live events, so join us online.
I was speaking today about how belief is more about a commitment of the heart than any ideas in your head. And so I hope that your heart is committed to the good things, to serving others, to loving neighbor. If it is, then you will truly live.
Tune in again next week for another edition of Reach Out and Live.